The next one is habit mastery, and this is huge. When I talk about habit change, people will feel like either I know how to change habits, I'm fine with where I am, or they come up with, yeah, but that's not for me. I've tried it. I've read all the books. I've done all the things. Those are two extreme responses. But either way, what it does is it gets a person to put habit change or habit mastery aside and say that's not for me for whatever reason, whether they feel like they're already a master or they feel like it's not for them. What I would say is that there are different types of habits. There are behavioral habits, and those are the ones that most people with experience have figured out how to manage. Like you may have a habit of eating chocolate candy, but when you hit a certain weight line, you stop that. I'm not going to go do that anymore. You may have a habit of scrolling on social media, but when something comes up and you need to put the phone down, you can put it down. It's not an addictive type habit, although it's a habit. And those don't really cause problems. And there's no reason, a person may not see any reason for them to go down this rabbit hole of more work to be able to solve that, because it's not an issue. But then there's the other kind of habits. And I think, so those are behavioral. The other kind of habit would be reactive. And I think these are the ones that are overlooked, because I've seen leaders with full intention get triggered and off on a bad path and making mistakes because they reacted to something that came up that they were not ready for. That is a reactive habit. That is a habit. That is a habit pattern that people ignore because they think it's just my personality. And that's the next one. The next set of habits are identity type habits. And that would be like personality, identity. Those are the types of habits that that's what dictates your life, right? Your personality is essentially what opens doors for you and closes doors for you. And personality, people don't realize it because personality is a summary, so people don't look at it as a habit. But when you break down what that personality is, it's a set of elements, many, many elements, which we'll illustrate in a few minutes. So here's what's going on with habit mastery. This is what I call the 1-second model. It's part of my larger framework of the 7-step reset, which I have here. The 7-step reset are the 7 steps that apply in the stimulus response cycle. And since we have about 30,000 stimulus response cycles a day, it makes sense to understand it. Now you may think, what? But here's the thing. If you look up how many decisions are made in a day, you'll get something like 33,000. Then you add on the piece that 95% of everything we do is done by habit. And you'll get to, okay, yeah, so maybe there's 31,000 stimulus response cycles. That's where I'm getting that. And I don't want to change my 95% by habit. What I want to do is reduce the number of stimulus response cycles I have per day, reduce the number of stimuli that rise to the level of potential threat. And I want to have more agency over the stimuli that I choose to respond to. And that's the 7-step reset, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. So this would be steps 1 and 2 on this side and steps 4 through 7 on this side. But let's just focus on step 3 for now.